Keir Starmer has, he U-turns like there's no tomorrow, and it's quite extraordinary. This sensitive and slippery area of public policy, and specifically immigration, and more precisely Labour's attempt to revise the role of the European Convention on Human Rights, which is happening today, the ECHR, in decisions surrounding deportations and asylum. Now, you may say this is a good thing, tightening up legislation. Fine, but it seems to be contradicted by what Keir Starmer said last week. This isn't a theoretical discussion. At the heart of the issue are real people, migrants, refugees and offenders, and real consequences for our legal culture. We are now seeing a Labour government which once marched under the banner of human rights and is now, in the name of political pragmatism, beginning to trim that banner to suit the wind. On Monday, Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper today are planning to unveil a white paper aiming to reduce what they call the overuse of Article 8 of the ECHR, the right to family life, by foreign criminals and undocumented migrants. And the phrase exceptional circumstances will be tightly defined in statute, giving immigration judges less leeway to interpret human rights claims than that might prevent deportation. In short, where before there was judicial discretion, now there will be a checklist. And the government will legislate to curtail the independent weighing of human context, no matter how tragic, complex or morally persuasive. Only a week ago, Starmer dismissed attacks on the ECHR as myth-making, yet here he is, eager to appear tougher than the Conservatives on immigration and more responsive to the right-wing insurgency of Reform UK. And Nigel Farage has been masterful, in other words, in turning the deportation of foreign criminals into a populist soundbite, fusing it inaccurately but emotively with broader migration and asylum fears. Labour, spooked by their electoral bruising in red wall seats, are now signalling that they too are willing to curb judges, limit appeals and make deportation swifter. What's astonishing is not only the abrupt shift, but the fact that Starmer, a man whose entire pre-political identity was built on human rights law, now seems prepared to constrain it. The problem, if we must use that term, is grotesquely overstated. Between 2008 and 2021, out of 21,500 deportation appeals, only 2,400 succeeded on Article 8 grounds. That's about 11%. And these cases actually involve long resident individuals, often with British-born children, whose removal would cause real hardship. The idea that child sex offenders are constantly dodging deportation on the grounds that their children like British chicken nuggets is again pure tabloid farce. It's not only inaccurate, it's deeply corrosive. It plays to the gallery of Reform UK. The UK signed the ECHR in 1951. It's not, as Farage and certain columnists suggests, a meddlesome foreign imposition. It's part of a post-war legacy of liberal democracy. And attempts to rewrite or circumvent it have been made before, by Denmark, for instance, and struck down. The European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg has always allowed member states a margin of appreciation, but it doesn't permit the abolition of judicial discretion altogether. If Labour now seeks to strangle that discretion with rigid statutory formulae, it risks future litigation, moral embarrassment, and the erosion of one of the pillars of the post-war European order, and Starmer ought to know better. This isn't just legal tinkering, it's a profound redefinition of what Britain stands for in the realm of justice. There are other levers that could be applied, giving judges formal advice, for example. If we remove judicial discretion from immigration judges, what's next? Do we deny the courts any role in interpreting the law at all? Is that not the threshold of executive overreach? Or do we simply accept that anything that goes up to the Supreme Court can be overturned simply on the whim of Parliament? And practically, this will not solve Labour's political headache. Curtailing Article 8 will not stop small boats crossing the Channel, nor will it materially reduce net migration, which is largely shaped by work and study visas. It will, however, erode the UK's international credibility as a defender of rights and worsen the plight of those caught in complex personal situations. Labour faces a choice. It can chase Nigel Farage down the rabbit hole of populist half-truths and rhetorical posturing, or it can offer a robust, principled defence of the legal traditions that it once championed, and it can do so as a leader of international debate. I would strongly recommend, as I've been doing consistently, I think, for the last 3 years, that the Labour Party or the Labour government under Keir Starmer calls together an international conference to redefine and retarget the 1951 Refugee Convention. That would be a start to fit the demands of the 21st century. Keir Starmer should remember who he is, or who he was. The human rights lawyer who defended asylum seekers, not the Prime Minister parroting phrases like earned citizenship and public safety to appease a reactionary fringe of Farage lovers. This is a moment to lead with integrity, not to intimidate the language of those who fear the rule of law. In the end, it's not deportation numbers, but the moral clarity that defines a nation. And we are fast losing that moral clarity. If we lost it over the last 10 years pandering to Brexit, we are in danger of losing it even more pandering to Farage. Actually, it's pandering to the same group again and again and again, isn't it? Farage has defined the direction of our parliament and our legislation and the route this nation is taking. Farage has defined it all. And Farage is the leader of a party with barely 5 people in parliament. That is an extraordinary achievement. For somebody who stood for parliament 8 times and has only just got in, it's an extraordinary achievement. And, you have to take your hat off to the man. But the fact that he is finally there, the fact that he's finally arrived, the fact that he is commanding a populist movement that seems to be hitting the feelings being expressed around the country in a big way, doesn't mean he's right. It doesn't mean he's right. Simply because people switch on the wireless, it doesn't mean they all agree with what's said. Simply because people think that what is said is good at that moment when they reflect. Maybe they don't think so. But the law is not about popularity. And ideally, an election is not a popularity contest. It's about who do we wish to give responsibility to? Who do we wish to delegate our democratic rights to? Because it's all about delegation. Who do we trust? Do we trust Reform UK because we don't know what they stand for? Do we trust the Conservatives because they no longer stand for anything? Do we trust the Labour Party because they clearly are abandoning their principles in the face of all the pressure from Farage? Who do we trust? Who do we trust?